Hi, I'm Becky Henry. Welcome. I am the founder of Hope Network LLC and the creator of these Hug Toolkits, providing you with hope, understanding, and guidance. I hope for you as you are being the caregiver of somebody with an eating disorder. I want to give you a little bit of background on who I am and why you should even listen to me. What's my credibility after all? Anyhow, you may have read my bio someplace. I have been in the field for a long time. First of all, let's back up to about the year 2000. I was going through my coaching training program. I'm a certified life coach, certified through the International Coaches Federation, and I was going through a training program back then through the Coaches Training Institute when my loved one got sick with an eating disorder. And I often say, if it hadn't been for the coaching I got during that beginning part of my loved one's illness and during my training, I might be rocking in a corner someplace because it was so life altering, and I was totally unprepared. I had no idea how to be a parent caregiver of somebody with an eating disorder, and there were no resources whatsoever. I found one book and it really had some parent blaming in it, and that was sort of the model back then. The coaching literally saved me. There were times I had a pain right here in my chest that I used to say it was like the size of a cereal bowl, and it physically hurt so badly that there was a time I looked down to see if there was a hole in my skin. That's how bad it hurt. I was just in such sadness and grief and pain and a fear state basically most of the time, because we were getting no help on what to do and what not to do, what to say and what not to say, how to communicate, how to be effective, what even to do. We really couldn't even get medical providers to listen to us and even get a diagnosis. So it was very, very challenging, and I just thought, this just doesn't make any sense. And I was familiar with the substance abuse world. I live in Minnesota, and we joke that it's not the land of 10,000 lakes, it's the land of 10,000 treatment centers. We have some wonderful resources here for substance abuse, and it's like that in many other states now too, but back then Minnesota was kind of the land of that. And I saw how much there was for families, but there was nothing for families of somebody with an eating disorder, and I couldn't figure it out. So after I spent years learning about eating disorders and going to conferences, and I still go to the professional conferences all over the country and learn as much as I possibly can and get to know the therapists and dietitians and doctors and psychiatrists who work in this field and learn from them. And I've read tons of books. You can see some of them on my shelf over here. There's way more than what you can see. And I've read them all and have learned what works and what doesn't in supporting families. And what happens when families aren't supported? It's not pretty. Families have a lot of fear, and justifiably so, because 23 people a day just in the United States die from eating disorders. Yeah, 23 people every single day. And that doesn't even include all the other countries. So these are really deadly illnesses that we're talking about. And so, of course, we're really living in a fear state because this is a lot that we're up against. So I want you to know that I've been there. I've lived through it. I was curled up in a ball. There were times I couldn't get out of bed. I was so devastated and just depleted and hopeless and helpless, and I didn't know what to do. And I felt so isolated, and I thought, why isn't there anything? And then one day somebody said to me, you know, Becky, you've been studying eating disorders for a few years now. Why don't you start coaching the parents of kids with eating disorders? And I was like, oh, good idea. And I had to do my own healing first. And I did a lot of my own healing and learned how to do my grief work and learned how to get my oxygen mask on and fill myself up. And I learned a lot of skills about how to communicate and how to support a family member who has an eating disorder. So there's been a lot of learning on that end. And I was a psych major in college too, by the way. But it's been the really boots on the ground work that has taught me so much. And I've met so many amazing people in this field. There's so many people with such big hearts who really, really care about our family members and are trying to make a difference and doing the best they can with what they have. Research is really limited, unfortunately. That we know so much more about Alzheimer's than we do eating disorders. You can look at the disparity in the research dollars and the occurrence rates. It's phenomenal. So there's still a lot of stigma, not as much as there used to be, but we're doing a lot of work. I have volunteered with the Eating Disorder Coalition for many years, helped change laws on a federal level, worked with my dear friends there, and my good friend Kitty Weston was instrumental in getting the Eating Disorders Coalition founded. She's a fellow Minnesotan and a fellow mom, and she's done so much as she's such a pioneer in the field, and I cannot thank her enough for all she's done. And it's wonderful to know that she's here for us and has done so much to help make our lives easier, and we just owe her a huge debt of gratitude, and all the folks at the Eating Disorders Coalition to change our federal laws in the United States. And hopefully that's impacting other countries. I know parents in Australia and New Zealand and the UK, and I've talked to parents in Greece who, lots of other countries who have said, I feel so isolated. So I want you to know you're not alone. I get it. I can connect you with resources because I know all these people throughout the country and the world. And I hope this Hug Toolkit with a physical copy of my book, but I interviewed over 50 families and wrote their stories so that you could see examples of lots of different situations and family constellations, so you could help your loved one, no matter what their gender is, their age, their nationality, anything. I hope you get it by now that anybody who can breathe can have an eating disorder, and you may need to share that fact with healthcare providers that you come across. It's going to be important for you to learn how to advocate for your loved one and advocate for yourself as a caregiver and how you need to be included in treatment. Sadly, in this field for many, many years, as family members, we were looked at as part of the problem, and it still lingers to this day. I just heard it again today, that so many times that the family's part of the problem. Yes, it's very sad. And we need to let people know that, you know what? We are their loved ones. We are there for the long haul, and they're coming back to us. And we need to be included in treatment, and we don't need to be labeled and pathologized. It's important to speak up to that, because you will come across people who want to push you away and say you're part of the problem. So truly, learn the facts about that. There are tons of resources on my website at beckyhenry.com. You can look at my YouTube channel, and that's under Becky Henry as well. I have hundreds of videos there for self-care, breathing meditation, some laughing baby videos there on the self-care page, or playlist, and then there are eating disorder videos as well, so you can learn more that way. And I want to let you go so you can get started on watching the rest of the videos. If you have questions, please contact me. I'm really easy to find. I'm on social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can always email me at coachbeckyhenry@gmail.com. Please know you're not alone, and most importantly, please know you did not cause this, and this is not your fault. Okay? 70% of the cause of eating disorders looks to be genetic, okay? So remember that piece, it's up to 70% is genetic, all right? Yes, environmental factors can contribute, and we need to take responsibility for our part, and it's not our fault, okay? That's so important. So please be gentle with yourselves, and let me know what questions I can answer. Take good care.